Okay, let's get into our next topic now. Frequent attacks by herdsmen across the country have resulted in the death of many innocent Nigerians.
Yes, indeed. And clashes between herdsmen and farming communities almost became a daily affair, with a huge cost of unwarranted battles borne by farmers who lose, of course, their crops, homes and lives. Sifon Essien reports.
Clashes between farmers and herdsmen have left thousands dead and a larger number of displaced persons in Nigeria. Wars hit our states in the north-central region, particularly Benue and Kaduna. The consequences are enormous, and experts say a food crisis looms. This security forum in the capital, Abuja, seeks to proffer solution to the clashes, since their threats to security are now rated next to the insurgency in the northeast.
This government has promised us that there are going to be ranches all over the country, and a movement of cattle will be curtailed. I think it's about time to start that.
Well, it's important for us to work hand in hand with the security agencies to bring peace and stability to our country.
Samuel Otom is the governor of Benue, one of the states worst affected by the clashes.
When herdsmen come doing open grazing, there is no way, no matter how hard they try to control their cattle. These are animals, they are not human beings. And so they derail to people's farms. And then crisis ensues.
The problem lingers. Sifon Essien, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, that's the background to our story. We have with us in the studio security consultant Ahmed Kadiri. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. And of course, joining us on phone from Taraba State is the Special Assistant on New Media to Taraba State Governor Nelson Len. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Ngozi.
Yes, of course, Taraba is one of the 3 states that have come up with the anti-open grazing bill, of course, which Mieti Allah, the group of herdsmen, is really fighting against. Talk to us more about how that is going in Taraba.
Clashes between farmers.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, Nelson,
Yes,
are you there?
Nelson, did you hear my question?
Yes. The anti-open grazing bill down here in Taraba is actually going on well. That's what I can say for now. It's going on well.
Okay, but of course, Taraba State has been at the receiving end of herdsmen attacks. How bad is it in Taraba? As at the last count, we heard some 2,000 people have lost their lives to these attacks. Shed some more light on it for us.
That's not true.
Okay.
It's not up to 2,000. That's just a figure being spread. Yes, there's been attacks of herdsmen recently in the state, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad, because as we speak right now, there are other groups that are beginning to embrace the anti-open grazing bill. For others to say the bill is aimed at our targeting one ethnic group is not really true.
All right, Nelson. Nelson, you are on ground. The reason why we had to bring you on is for us to have a clearer picture. Because on social media, you are the special assistant on new media. On new media, people are going, people are becoming so scared of how things are because of the pictures, because of the figures that are being bantered on social media. So give us the real picture of what is on ground.
The real picture of what is on ground is, yes, there was a clash between the herders and the farmers. But the picture which people are painting is not so. It's not that bad. You know, the social media has gone this dagger that people pick pictures from other incidents and just use it to tag one incident just to disqualify a particular thing that is aimed for the good of the people. I will tell you, in some parts of Taraba, places like the same Mambila, ranches has been going on. Ranches has been going on. So it shouldn't just be that one part of the state where ranching has been on, and now they want to enact a law that ranching can be done in the whole part of the state, and it becomes a case. It shouldn't.
All right, let's bring it to Ahmed Kadiri, a security consultant right here in the studio. Now, you've heard him. He doesn't seem to believe that it's that terrible. But let's go to what some of the states have tried to do. Of course, Taraba, Ekiti, and Benue have come up with this anti-open grazing bill, which some... depends on which side of the divide you belong, are already resisting. Now, but Bayelsa State, for example, has a ranching agreement or, program in place. And so it has not experienced this herdsmen attacks, at least compared to other states. Do you think that might just be the solution?
My problem with our society is our fire brigade approach to things.
Fire brigade approach
to issues. We've had Fulani herdsmen for as long as I can remember. I'm in my 40s, and for as long as I can remember, we've always had Fulani herdsmen moving all around the country. Now, it's come to a head, to a point where the population is growing. And with urban spread, you have less space. With less space, there's more contention for land. With more contention for land, there are more conflicts, which I believe is what is going on now. Why, if I as an individual can see this, what is the government doing? I believe we have people in places, I don't know, under whatever title such offices will be, who would have seen this problem from 25 years ago and taking appropriate steps so that we do not have what we are facing now. Now you are setting up conferences in Abuja, bringing everybody, the emir of this, the governor of this. Why now? This problem should have been solved over 30 years ago. So we don't have, where in other countries, you have people who own ranches and they live peacefully with everybody.
But over 30 years ago, we didn't have this challenge. Like you said, I mean, the herdsmen were, they were a feature of our lives.
Yes, because the population had not exploded to what we have now. You have families of people who have 8 children, 10 children, 15 children till now. So the population is exploding. So with all the population census we've claimed to have been conducting over the years, what did we do with those figures to plan for incidences like this not to occur? So back to your question, the anti-open grazing law it's a good idea on paper. Now, how well will it be implemented? That's the question. I believe it's something that ought to work if it's properly conducted. In states like Edo State right now, they are facing serious problems with Fulani herdsmen all over the states. In the northern part of Edo State, central and the southern part, you have incidences of Fulani herdsmen attacking people, destroying people's farms, and people coming out to complain. Now, there's an extent to which these people will complain, and they will stop complaining and take laws into their hands. Then we'll have a real conflict in our hands, and that will be replicated across the board. Then we'll have a real conflict in our hands, and that will be replicated across the board. So as soon as we have governors who are truly committed to bringing this rather embarrassing situation to a stop, and the use of, how will I put it, the possession of strong institutions of law and order, we'll continue to have this. And I pray it doesn't escalate to a point where it becomes a threat to national security.
Okay. Well, let's bring in Nelson back in here. Nelson, I know the government, apart from the bill that has, or the law that has been put to place where people are contesting it one way or the other, I know what of the traditional institution? They are the closest to the people one way or the other. What are they doing to ensure there's an engagement or there is some kind of understanding between all the sides?
Yes, proper enlightenment is going on. Sensitization is going on. Sensitization is actually what we felt the people we are lacking, those that are directly affected by this bill. Because when the bill was brought out, people took it for something else. According to rumor they spread it, they said the state government wanted stopping herders from rearing their cattle. They want to stop herders from keeping cattle, of which it wasn't so. It was just to control its movement. So right now, they have gone into proper sensitization, engaging the people, talking to them, letting them know the importance of this bill and why it should be enacted. I see the bill even. As I speak to you, many people have considered to the bill because they later on found out that the bill is completely to their own advantage. They later on found out that the bill is completely to their own advantage. So they are beginning to now concede to the bill. They are beginning to accept the fact that the bill was done in good faith. So, as I'm speaking to you, a lot of people that are directly connected to this bill, I tell you, they are beginning to embrace the bill.
All right, that's good to know that the Fulani herdsmen, Mieti Allah, are beginning to accept, what you're putting in place as a solution. But let's bring out some facts. Gentlemen, stay with us. Now, the herdsmen have devised a new way of intimidating settlements by sending their cows after them. In Edo State, pupils and teachers of Ohove Primary School in Ikpoba local government area were sacked from their classrooms by rampaging cows earlier in the month.
Now, the pupils at Ohove were said to have begun learning in the early hours of the day when a herd of cattle strayed into their classrooms, forcing them to scamper for safety.
This is very, very wrong. Very, very wrong.
Cows in the class. Cows in the class.
Chasing the students and the pupils out. What imagery really. Now, this new tactic was quick to spread as teachers and pupils of another primary school, this time in Anambra State, were forced to abandon their midterm examination when a herd of cattle invaded the Nwafo Rizu College of Education, a demonstration nursery, primary and secondary school, Abata and Sube.
Now, recent reports indicate that a church in Benue State was also invaded by cows during Sunday service. All right, you can see the pictures in there.
Now, all of these incidents forced states like Benue, Taraba and Ekiti to enact laws that restrict the operation of the dangerous cattle herders for the safety of their citizens. Now, some of the most deadly attacks by herdsmen have been on settlements in Benue, Enugu, Taraba, Cross River, Imo and Plateau. The attacks have made many wonder how these killer herdsmen get weapons for their uncanny missions.
Now, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, is asking the federal government to rise up to the occasion and probe the sources of these weapons and take appropriate action. He says perpetrators of such heinous crimes be treated as criminals and be prosecuted.
Yes, indeed, and that's a very, very important question. How these herdsmen get their weapons? Let me first off find out from Nelson Len. I wonder how, in your investigations, if any has been carried out, what links do you have, what information do you have on the source, how these people are getting their weapons? Of course, we've heard that many of them may not even be Nigerians in the first place. Nelson?
Yes, hello.
Yes, did you get my question?
No, the network was a bit cracked.
Okay, the question of how these armed, these herdsmen get their arms. Have you been able to find out as a state government where those people get their arms from?
Yes, this is one question that we have been asking. We have been asking and answered are forthcoming. Where are these herdsmen getting their arms from? We haven't got that answer. We've searched around, we've inquired, we've tried to see if we can dig deep to know how they get their arms. But the answers are not forthcoming. And this is a question that the government, not only the state, because we find out these armed herdsmen that moves from one place to another, mostly they are not in the state. I must tell you, mostly the herders we have in this state be peaceful, and we've lived peaceful with them. Both the farmers and the herders have been living peaceful. Those that comes in with their arms to cause this unrest and get away are those that move in from other states or from neighboring countries even. The real herders we know are herders that move around with their sticks. So the question you are asking, I am as well asking, and we are as well asking, and we are trying to dig deep to know how they get these arms.
All right, Nelson, I'll put you on hold now. Ahmed, let's come to you on this. The point is, when it comes to the issue of the use of weapons, like he said, like we all knew, we grew up, you know, being friends with these Fulani heads. In fact, a Fulani man coming to your farm at the time, it was a happy time because, you know, they will bring nunu to you, and then, you know, you roast yams and you give to them, and you try to speak their language, they try to speak your language, and all of that. But the issue of weapons now is the security agencies, are they overwhelmed by the issue of weapons, where they get these weapons from and all of that?
The security agencies, to my mind, have not done a thorough job with regards to Fulani headsmen, quote and unquote, possessing Kalashnikovs. Now, the last time I checked, a Kalashnikov cost at least 250,000 to 300,000.
For one?
For one.
Wow.
Now, where does a herdsman get the money to possess one machine gun? It's now up to law enforcement agents to find out where these arms are coming from. How come these people who are supposed to be cattle herders possess weapons and not sticks? What is the border control doing about those who cross our borders into the country armed and cause mayhem and go back across the border? What have we done about checking these cattle herders? There is nothing wrong in crossing from Mali into Nigeria to take care of your cattle. But when you start arming yourself across international borders into another country, it becomes a different issue entirely.
Is it possible then that the mere fact that these people are really not Nigerians per se is the reason why they are actually so brutal in the way they carry out their herding?
That's why the law enforcement agents have to conduct their investigations to find out who these people are. Are they Nigerians? Are they non-Nigerians? What is their motive? Who is behind them? Do they have an ulterior motive? Are they just masquerading behind being cattle herders and trying to cause political, social, and economic mischief? These are the questions that are begging for answers. We have to know what's going on. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's giving us any answers.
All right, Nelson Len, well, Taraba State has tried to bring about some kind of rapprochement between the herders and, of course, the state. We hear about the move to set up ranches and livestock administration and control committee. Well, this seems to be a step in the right direction, but the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association say that they were not part of the meeting to actually rub minds to find or chart a way forward for this challenge. Nelson Len, confirm that you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, you obviously did not hear my question. The Mieti Allah cattle rearers said they were not part of the meeting or the meetings that the state government, you know, has put in place to actually try to chart a way forward in this herdsman problem. What can you say about that? Why were they not carried along? Because we're told that the assembly complex was actually locked against them.
No, it wasn't that they weren't carried along. The meeting was for everyone. The entire Fulanis were on ground. The Tabita Pulak were on ground. And if they weren't on ground, then they intentionally couldn't come. But the meeting was made for everyone, and they were carried along. This bill we're talking about, I repeat it, it is not aimed or targeted to undermine any group. It is aimed at bringing a lasting solution between the herders and the farmers.
All right. Okay, Nelson, thank you. Kadiri, moving on now, what should be the way forward? Yeah. You mentioned earlier on that the people could be forced sometimes to take the laws into their hands, especially when they don't see the right steps by the government. But how do we prevent all of that?
We can prevent that when governors and all other people in authority start taking appropriate steps towards cooling things down. Governors, for instance, should look for ways to ensure that these cattle herders do not trespass on people's farms, into people's homes, into schools. We have to look for ways of, innovative ways of providing solutions to this problem, like this anti-grazing rule, for instance. And again, we should bear in mind that these cattle are owned by people. Who are the individuals who own these cattle? Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yeah.
A Fulani man ideally brings cattle from Sokoto to Edo State. It's owned by someone. So the owners of these cattle should find ways of, we cannot say because it's a cultural and a traditional thing that has happened for over 1,000 years, we should continue when it's becoming a problem. They should look for ways of setting up ranches in their own homelands and keep their cattle there.
I think that's an aspect we have to ask questions. These cattle are not owned by the herdsmen you see sometimes. No. They're owned by some people.
Yes.
And that has to be looked into. Thank you very much, Ahmed Kadiri, security consultant, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And Nelson Len, special assistant to the Taraba State governor on new media. Thank you for talking to us on TVC Breakfast.